Welcome back to another edition of Military Mindfulness Moments. I'm Major Weller. We're going to be talking today about cognitive distortions and how to challenge them. We want to talk about what cognitive distortions look like, what they are, how do they interfere with leading a rich and purposeful and meaningful life, and what can you do about them. So what we've done is we've compiled a list of 12 of the most common cognitive distortions for you. You're welcome. But we're going to break this video up into three series. So the first part of the videos will cover about 6 of them. The next video is going to cover the remaining 6, and then finally the last video in this series is going to focus on how to challenge these cognitive distortions in a healthy manner. So let's jump right in and look at what cognitive distortions are. Cognitive distortions are irrational thoughts that influence our emotions. Stress often makes us think in negative and pessimistic ways, or makes us overestimate the likelihood that something bad will happen, and underestimate our ability to handle potentially difficult situations. The goal to balanced, healthy thinking is to maintain a proper perspective and be able to do some reality checks on yourself along the way to make sure that where we're going is on the right path. All of us at one point or another engage in what we call stinking thinking patterns or cognitive distortions. If this happens occasionally, it's probably not a big deal, probably not something you need to worry about. Everyone experiences cognitive distortions to some degree, but in their more extreme form, they can be very maladaptive and harmful. So here we are, we're going to talk about 12 of the most common cognitive distortions that plague people today. Again, this video will focus on the first common cognitive distortions. The first common cognitive distortion we will look at is what we call overgeneralizing. Overgeneralization is a cognitive distortion where we define one single situation with phrases that include always or never. We make an assumption that this will last forever. Ask yourself, have you ever uttered the phrase, "I always get the bad shift," or "I never get a chance to prove myself"? These are unhelpful thought patterns that could lead to an increase in depressive and anxious thoughts, if not corrected. Our next cognitive distortion is blaming or denying. Blaming or denying is often a sign of feeling defensive, insecure, or unwilling or unable to address reality. We focus on separation and move away from personal responsibility. From a therapeutic perspective, we call this externalization. If you believe the ability to solve your problems are outside of your control, you won't take any action. In the blame mechanism, we deny our right and responsibility to assert our needs. It also keeps us stuck in the past and helps us find fault rather than finding a focus on solving those problems. The next common cognitive distortion is the shoulds. Living by should means having a list of rules and regulations about how we and others should behave. We end up criticizing ourselves or other people by our shoulds, our shouldn'ts, our musts, our ought-tos, and our have-tos. In the therapy world, we say, "Don't should on me and I won't should on you." Our next common cognitive distortion is all or nothing thinking. This is sometimes called black or white thinking or dichotomous thinking. It's a thinking method that allows us to make quick judgments. We look at things either as good or bad, right or wrong, fair or unfair. We see any level of imperfection or shortcoming as a sign that the whole endeavor is doomed to fail. This often generates feelings of inadequacy and worthlessness. When those feelings show up, we tend to shut down rather further engage. And this can become problematic if you're in a relationship or if you're in the middle of some sort of task that you need to finish. The next cognitive distortion we're looking at is negativity bias. Negativity bias is the human tendency to give more psychological weight to bad experiences or minimize the good experiences. Imagine getting 10 positive feedbacks from somebody you care about and then getting 1 negative feedback from a complete stranger. Negativity bias will throw all of that positive feedback away and obsess on the 1 negative feedback, as if the others had never occurred or they're not believable. Our brain is wired with a negativity bias. It's a holdover from our caveman days as a survival techniques, which makes it like Velcro for the bad and Teflon for the good. we have to be deliberate in our efforts to challenge this negativity bias, especially when our life is truly not in danger, just inconvenienced. The last cognitive distortion we will look at in this video set is catastrophizing. Catastrophizing happens when people expect the worst to happen. They expect disaster to happen every time, everywhere. People make bigger issues than what it is, or worse, they minimize its importance.